Let me tell you something straight and simple. My friend, there are voices we don't hear often enough, voices with silver hair, wrinkled hands, and hearts carved by decades of living, voices that speak not with thunder or lightning, but from a quiet chair by a sunlit window, soft, steady, and deeply true. Sometimes, the most life-changing wisdom doesn't come from the loudest man in the room. Sometimes, it comes from the one who has simply walked farther than most of us ever will. Tonight, I bring you a treasure, not from a scholar, not from a king, but from a 92-year-old woman who has lived, lost, loved, and learned. And what she said, it's worth more than gold. She told me this: love your woman like it's day one. At first, it might sound simple, maybe even old-fashioned, but hear me. This is one of the richest, truest pieces of advice you'll ever receive. This elderly woman, her voice tender but firm, didn't speak from pages of a book. She spoke as someone who had lived the story. Chapter by chapter, she'd seen young men, full of fire, willing to give the world just to hold her hand, flowers every weekend, eyes locked across the room, the kind of love that fills notebooks, the kind that builds wedding albums. But as the years rolled on, she saw what happens to so many: that fire, it flickers, routine takes over, the passion gets packed away with the boxes in the attic. She leaned in, looked me in the eye, and said, "Men stop seeing the woman who once made their heart race. Not because she changed, but because they stopped looking. They forget the feeling of day one, you know, that day, the first time you met her. Or the first moment you realized she was the one, your heart beat faster, you hung on every word, you made time for her. You didn't squeeze her, and you wanted to impress her, not because you had to, but because you wanted to. That's love in its rawest, most honest form, unforced, undistracted, pure. So, let me ask you, man to man, where did that go? Did it get buried under bills, work, endless emails, and half-watched conversations over dinner? Did you start treating her love like it was a guarantee, like she'd always be there, no matter how distant you became? That, my friend, is a dangerous game. Love doesn't die in storms. It dies in silence. It dies in the quiet, unnoticed moments, when you stop trying, when you stop showing up, when you stop saying what needs to be said. That 92-year-old woman looked at me and said something I'll never forget. The way you treated her when you were chasing her, that's how you should treat her now that she's yours. Think about that. Real men don't get lazy with love. Real men keep showing up, not just with gifts, not just with words, but with effort, with presence, with pursuit. Hold her hand in public, compliment her like you did when your palms used to sweat just to say it, pray with her, laugh with her, see her. Because it's not just about romance, it's about responsibility. When you honor her, you're not just protecting your marriage, you're guarding your soul. There's a weight to loving a woman, right? There's accountability in that covenant. When you lead with love, you lead with a strength the world doesn't celebrate, but heaven does, the kind of strength that lasts long after looks fade and bodies age, the kind your kids will grow up seeing, the kind they'll remember when it's their turn to love. So if you feel something stirring in your chest right now, don't brush it off. That's not guilt, that's grace, calling you back to day one. It's a second chance. You may not be able to rewind time, but you can redeem it. You can look her in the eyes tonight and say, I remember. I still choose you. That's love, that's manhood, and that's a fact. Love your woman like it's day one. Don't wait until the storm hits to talk to God. Life has a way of rushing past us like a freight train, fast, loud, and hard to stop. 1 minute you're chasing dreams, the next you're just trying to catch your breath. And in all that noise, two things often get neglected by men: the woman they love and the God who made them. Love starts like spring, fresh, blooming, easy. You remember those early days, don't you? Late night talks that never seemed long enough, smiles across the room that said more than words ever could. You noticed her, the way she sipped her coffee, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she laughed. You remembered her favorite song, her favorite flower. You pursued her, and it felt good to do it. But what happened somewhere along the way? Life got heavy, the spark faded, not because she changed, but because you stopped fanning the flame. Love isn't something you just fall into and forget. It's something you build, brick by brick, moment by moment. It's not about grand gestures once a year, it's about quiet faithfulness every day, holding her hand when it's rough from working, listening when she's quiet, saying, I love you, when there's nothing dramatic going on. That's when it matters most. Because when you stop trying, you start drifting, and when you drift, you lose more than affection, you lose connection. But the good news? You can turn around, you can love her like it's day one again. Not by rewinding time, but by remembering who she is and who you promised to be. You chose her now, keep choosing her. But here's something you need to know. You can't do this on your own. Not with the help of books, podcasts, or marriage seminars. You need help from above. Loving someone the right way takes more than emotion. It takes grace, and grace only comes to a man humble enough to talk to God before he's desperate. Too many men wait until the storm hits, when the house is cold, the arguments sharp, the distance wide. Only then do they remember to pray. But the strongest homes are the ones built in sunshine. With prayer as the foundation, you don't wait for lightning to strike to check your roof. You strengthen it while the sky is clear. Talk to God before the trouble comes. Seek His wisdom while things are still good, so when life shifts, and it will, you're already anchored. A man who talks to God daily walks differently. He carries peace, he speaks softer, he forgives faster, he loves deeper, because he's drawing from a well that never runs dry. So here's the call. Love her like you did on day one. Love God like your life depends on it, because it does. Start today, don't wait. Your woman is worth it, your soul is worth it, and the man you're called to be. He's not found in success or strength. He's found on his knees and in his home. Quietly faithful, fiercely loving, and, friend, that's a fact. If you'd like, I can help you continue to rewrite the next part. Just let me know. The kind of love we're called to, the kind that shows up every day, must be wrapped in kindness and friend. That's exactly where so many of us drift away. We live in a world that trains men to be hard, be dominant, don't flinch, don't feel. We're told that kindness is weakness, that if you speak gently, you'll get walked over, that if you show compassion, you'll be dismissed. But let me tell you something plainly. Kindness takes real strength. It takes a man who is rooted in something deeper than pride. It takes a man who doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard. It takes a man who can walk away from a fight, not because he's weak, but because he knows that peace is far more powerful than proving a point. Kindness never goes out of style. It may not trend online, it may not win you promotions or applause, but it will win hearts. It will open doors that brute force could never unlock. Kindness leaves fingerprints on the hearts of people long after you've left the room. The way you speak to the waitress, the cashier, your children, your wife. It all tells the world who you really are, and when your time here is done, they won't gather around to remember your car or your title. They'll remember how you made them feel. Did you see them? Did you honor them? Did you make them feel like they mattered? That same 92-year-old woman said something else that stopped me cold. Sometimes silence is louder than shouting. Isn't that the truth? Too many men believe that power is in how loud you can get, but real wisdom knows when to pause, when to let the room breathe, when to hold your tongue, even when your pride is begging you to speak. That kind of restraint isn't taught in classrooms. It's forged in the quiet places of a man's life, where humility is stronger than ego. There's a power in silence that turns heads. There's something unshakable about the man who walks into a room and doesn't need to prove himself. That's strength, that's presence. The man who can look his son in the eye and simply say, "I'm listening." The man who can sit with his wife in stillness, without the need to fill the silence with solutions or speeches. That's the kind of presence this noisy, distracted world is desperate for. You want to be a man of significance? Start small, start quiet, speak kindly, listen more, choose grace when the world around you chooses rage. And above all, don't let the world define your worth by numbers or noise. Let your life speak in whispers of wisdom, not just in waves of ambition. Because that's where your legacy is found, not in the spotlight, but in the small, ordinary moments most men overlook. That's the truth. Never confuse success with significance. Kindness never goes out of style. Silence can be louder than shouting. Love your woman like it's day one. You can spend your entire life climbing a ladder, only to realize, far too late, that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. That's the danger of chasing success without stopping to ask what really matters. The world will cheer for you when you hustle, when you grind, when you win, even if it costs you your health, your family, your soul. But when the crowd goes quiet, and it will, what will they remember? Not your salary, not your title, not your trophies. They'll remember how you made them feel. Did you bring peace or pressure? Did you lift or tear down? Did you love well? Significance isn't about how high you climb, it's about how deeply you reach. It's not about luxury, it's about legacy. You can be the CEO of hundreds and still be forgotten, or you can be the steady, faithful soul in your own home and be remembered forever by the people who truly mattered. Where does that kind of impact start? With kindness. Simple, consistent, underrated kindness. The kind that holds doors open before they're asked, to the kind that speaks gently when others would lash out, the kind that knows you don't need a stage to matter. That old woman was right. Kindness never goes out of style. It's not flashy, but it's unforgettable. You'll never regret being kind, but you may regret the times you weren't. And hear this. Kindness isn't just for strangers, it's for your wife, your children, your closest friends. Too many men save their best for the world and bring home the leftovers, but kindness starts in your living room, at your dinner table, in the way you greet your wife after a long day, in the way you lower your voice, even when you feel justified to raise it. And that brings me to something even harder: silence. There's strength in silence. A quiet man isn't a weak man. Sometimes silence is wisdom. It's listening when your wife tells you what's really going on in her heart. It's holding space when your children are searching for words they haven't yet learned how to say. It's knowing that you don't have to win every argument. Sometimes you win by stepping back, by letting love speak louder than pride. And if you are blessed enough to share your life with a woman, love her like it's day one. You remember day one, don't you, when everything she said fascinated you, when you held her hand like you were holding the whole world, when you showed up early, when you dressed up for dinner, when you sent that text just to hear from her. Somewhere along the way, life wore down that tenderness, but hear me. That woman still deserves the man who pursued her, not just in the beginning, but every day you have together. Loving her like it's day one isn't about grand gestures, it's about noticing, it's about gratitude, it's about choosing her, even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. It's about being the steady voice, the calm in her storm. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. So if you want a life that matters, a life that leaves something behind, choose kindness. Even when it costs you something, listen more than you speak. Love the people in your life like time is short, because it is. And friend, that's a fact. Never confuse success with significance. Kindness never goes out of style. Silence can be louder than shouting. Love your woman like it's day one. Don't wait to talk to God until the storm hits. Your ladder isn't what defines you. What matters is who you lifted on the way up. If you'd like me to continue with page 3, I'm ready to help you keep building this script. And friend, if you've followed me this far, you already know, it's not about being the loudest man in the room, it's about being the man who knows when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence is not weakness. Silence gives room, it gives space for others to share, to reflect, to feel safe enough to speak their own hearts. And sometimes, that space you create, that quiet pause, is where the real power lives. As you grow older, you begin to understand that life isn't about how many words you can say, but about choosing the right ones at the right time. Too many men make the mistake of thinking their authority is measured in decibels, but real wisdom is wrapped in restraint. A man who can sit in silence, who can truly listen, who can look someone in the eye without rushing to give his opinion, that man carries weight. That man's words don't get lost in the noise, because when he finally speaks, people lean in. They know he's not speaking to impress, he's speaking to lift, he's speaking to heal, he's speaking to build, not to boast. When you lead with quiet confidence, you don't need to shout to be heard. Your presence speaks for you. And when it comes to loving your woman, love her like it's day one. Do you remember day one? Do you remember how you looked at her? How you studied her face like every detail mattered? Do you remember the butterflies in your chest? The way you carefully chose your words? The way you showed up fully, not distracted, not distant, but completely present? That's the love she deserves every day. It's easy, over time, to let routines swallow us whole. It's easy to forget the little things, to forget the magic you once fought so hard to create. But loving her like it's day one means never letting time water down the weight of your words, your gestures, your attention. Don't let life's busyness steal from your love. Keep pursuing her, keep choosing her, not just in anniversaries or grand gestures, but in the everyday. In the way you thank her, in the way you notice her, in the way you still reach for her hand across the table. When you love like that, she feels it. She knows she's still valued, still seen, still cherished. The love you fought for in the beginning, that's the love that builds a marriage that can stand through storms. And speaking of storms, let's talk about something too many of us get wrong: waiting to talk to God until life falls apart. Isn't that what we do? We wait until the walls are shaking, until the waters are rising, Until our backs are against the wall. Then we start to pray, then we start to reach out, but God isn't just a shelter when the storm hits, He's the steady ground beneath your feet in every season. Don't wait for the winds to howl before you build your foundation. Talk to God now, when the sky is clear. When life is calm. When your heart feels full, because prayer isn't a last resort, it's the daily anchor that holds you steady before the storm ever arrives. When you talk to God in peaceful moments, you're preparing yourself for the days that feel anything but peaceful. You're building roots so deep that when the storms come, and they will, you will not be shaken. Let prayer become your first instinct, not your emergency exit. It's in those quiet conversations with God that you'll find the strength to face what's ahead, the patience to handle life's struggles, and the wisdom to love the people in your life well. Because here's the truth. A man who talks to God daily carries something this world can't take away. He loves deeper, he forgives faster, he walks lighter. When you live this way, with kindness, with silence when it's needed, with love that looks like day one, and with a heart that talks to God, not just when life is hard but every day, your life becomes a story worth telling. And that, my friend, is a fact. Too often, we chase what the world tells us is success, the grind, the status, the wealth, but let me tell you something the world doesn't teach. Success and significance are not the same. You can win all the races the world has to offer, you can pile up the titles, the promotions, the applause, but if you reach the top of that ladder and realize it was leaning against the wrong wall, what have you really gained? Success is measured by what you earn, but significance is measured by what you give. What will you leave behind? What will people remember when your chair is empty? Did you make life better for the people around you? Did you speak kindness into a world that starved for it? The easiest way to build a life that matters is through simple, steady kindness in a world quick to tear down. Kindness stands tall. Kindness is the strength to build instead of break. It's not the flashy stuff. It's the kind word when someone expects a harsh one. It's the open hand when the world would have you clench your fists. And don't miss this. Kindness isn't just for strangers, it's for your family, it's for the people you come home to, it's for your wife, your children, your closest circle, the ones who often get the tired version of you. Kindness should start at the dinner table. And then there's silence. Some men think their voice is their power, but silence, timely silence, is wisdom. There's power in not always needing to have the last word. There's power in sitting quietly with your wife when she's sharing her heart, without rushing to fix, to solve, to move on. There's power in holding space for your children, in letting them search for their own words, knowing that your steady presence is enough. The man who can be silent in the right moment is the man whose words will carry the most weight when he finally chooses to speak. It's not about winning arguments, it's about winning trust. And above all, if you are blessed enough to love a woman, love her like it's day one. You remember day one, when you couldn't stop staring, when you showed up early, when you listened carefully, when you held her hand like it was a lifeline. Don't let life wear that love down. Don't let busyness or comfort make you lazy. With love, she still deserves the man who chased her, the man who made her feel like she was the only one in the room. Love her with attention, love her with gratitude, love her with presence. Because real love isn't about fireworks, it's about showing up, it's about being steady, it's about holding her close on the ordinary days. Friend, if you want a life that leaves a legacy, here's the map. Choose kindness even when it costs you something. Be wise enough to be silent when pride wants to speak. Love your woman like it's day one. And don't wait to talk to God until the storm hits. Talk to Him now. This is what builds a life that matters. A life that won't just be measured in titles or trophies, but in hearts changed, in wounds healed, in love that didn't fade, in prayers that held your family together. That's the kind of life you'll never regret building. And that, my friend, is a fact.